Ladies and gentlemen, Childish Gambino.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. Today I'm going to teach you the new second single from Childish Gambino called Saturday, which he premiered live for the first time on SNL. One little disclaimer before starting. I just want to say that this isn't a 100% accurate transcription of what is actually played in the song. I did my best by ear, and I hope that you can learn enough from it that you can just play along and have fun and maybe figure out how it's actually played 100% with this lesson to help. Alright, so before we start, the song has a certain structure to it. This structure is repeated twice throughout the entire song. The second time you're repeating this structure, there are a couple of variations along with an outro. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through all the riffs necessary to play the song. I'm going to teach you all the riffs, intro, leads, and then for the second time around that we're repeating that all of those riffs, I will tell you the small variations in there. Okay, we're in standard tuning, so let's get started. You're going to be starting off on the D string 16 with your middle finger. You're going to be playing D16, then G16 with your ring finger. All alternate picking with your right hand. Then you're going to go to the B string 14, 15, 17, and then 14 on the high E. And then you repeat that again. You're going to repeat the first three, or should I say 4 notes. 16, 16, 14, 15. But this time, instead of going to 17, you're going to 14 on high E, and then to 17. You're going to stay on the B string with your ring finger. You're going to slide from 12 to 14. You're going to play 10, and then 12, all on the B string. You're going to be repeating that intro again, except with a slight little variation. So the first bit stays the same. So for the second time that you're repeating it, you're going to be playing 16, 16, all familiar notes of course, 14, 15 on the B string. Instead of going to 17 on the B, you're going to 17 on the high E, and then 14. Repeat that pattern, and then back to the slide. Okay, so the verse has two variations to the riff. The main thing to remember are the chord shapes, and then once we learn those chord shapes and the first part we're playing them, for the repetition you're going to see all the spice. We're going to add all of the seasoning to spice it up. Okay, so first the chord patterns, very important. You have the following chord pattern. That's barring with our index finger on the 10th fret and adding the notes with the rest of our fingers. That's 12 on the D string, ring finger, middle finger, 11, and then 12 with our pinky on the B string. Second chord shape, we're still barring with our index finger, but this time on the 9th fret. We're going to be adding the rest of the notes along. That's 11 with our ring finger and 10 with our middle finger. And then we have the same chord shape as the first chord shape in the series of 3. Barring on the 7th fret with our index finger, we're adding 9 on the D string. With our middle finger, we're adding 8, and then with our pinky, B string 9. Now for the main rhythm section of the right hand, what we're playing, I suggest that you listen to the live version. I can't say that I do it 100% accurately, but for me it's mostly just you're constantly just going up and down, and you have to know when you're muting the strings and when to play them open. So what I like to do is I constantly keep moving my hand up and down, but I choose first of all when to play the notes, second of all when to scratch the strings, so mute them, and third of all when to just basically wave my hand in the air without playing anything at all. This is what I mean. Look, take a look at the beginning. So right, there's once where I just kind of wave my hand in the air without playing anything, and that's just to keep the momentum of going up and down. Alright, so just try to keep going up and down and know when it is you're playing the notes, scratching them, and for that first bit not playing anything, just in the air. For the first chord of the 3, you're playing that rhythm twice, and then for the other 2 chords once. And that you're going to repeat twice. Okay, so now we're in the variation of the verse riff. You're gonna have to remember those 3 chord shapes. Those are the ones that we will be using, except that in between those shapes we're going to be adding some seasoning to spice it all up. So, again, pay attention to the right hand movement. The first 3 times we strike each chord. Up in the air. After that, you're going to hit the scratch up on the higher strings, and every note that we're playing in between those scratches are going to be played with an upstroke. Alright, so the notes are with our middle finger on the 12th B string and our pinky on the 14. Upstroke, downstroke, scratch. You're going to keep your middle finger on the B string 12, you're going to shift your index finger to 12 on the high E. Upstroke, notes. Downstroke, scratch. This time we're playing 1 note at a time. So we ended with a scratch going down, upstroke 10 on the high E, downstroke 10 on the high E, and then hammer on 12, pull off 10, and then B string 12. And then you're going to repeat that. Okay, now for the second shape, chord shape. Same rhythmic pattern. Right, so we scratched it on the downstroke. Now we're going to play the notes upstroke. That's 10 on the B, 12 on the high E, in middle finger, pinky. Scratch, upstroke, 10, 10, middle finger, ring finger, B and E. Scratch. Then you're going to place your index finger on the 7 high E. Same rhythmic pattern. So we're going to upstroke 7. And then pick 7 downstroke. Hammer on 8. Pull off 7. And then pick 8 on the B. Okay, now for the last chord shape. Same rhythmic pattern. Upstroke the following notes. That's B string, middle finger, 9 and 11 with our pinky. Upstroke. Scratch. Downstroke. 9 on the B and 9 on the high E. Scratch. 7 upstroke. Downstroke 7. Hammer on pull off 9, 7. And then 9 on the B. Now you're repeating that twice. However, the second time around that you're repeating it, instead of ending with this, you're going to just kind of play it 3 times and just let it fade. And that's when you enter the pre-chorus. Basically, all you have to know are the chord shapes, and the rest is pretty simple except for the little tail end of the pre-chorus. You're going to be playing the following chords. That's barring the 4th fretboard with our index, and then adding 6 on the D with our ring finger, and 5 with our middle finger on the B string. And you're playing from the low E all the way to the B string. Then you're going to shift to the following chord shape, barring with our index finger on the 5th fret, adding the following notes: 7 with our ring finger on the D, G6 with our middle finger, and pinky 7 on the B string. You're going to shift downwards to the same chord shape, the first chord shape that you learned from the pre-chorus. And then you're going to shift to the last chord you need to know, which is shifting your index finger to 3 from 2. You're not going to be playing the A string. It's just going to be muted with your index finger. And you're adding 4 on the D, 4 on the G, and with our middle finger on the B string, 3. Now, once you're repeating that the second time around, and you're playing the chord before the actual last chord, you're going to pause for a bit. Then you're going to play in a staccato manner the last chord 3 times. Alright, so just listen to the song. It's self-explanatory once you hear that last bit, again adding some spice to all of it. Now for the chorus itself. You're going to have to just remember those chord shapes of the pre-chorus. The only thing that changes is the rhythmic pattern that you're playing them in. So first we're just playing them, one by one. But now basically we're just playing them in a much upbeat way, higher tempo. So the only difference is once you start playing that first chord, every shift of chords you're adding a muted scratch to it, dead notes. Here is where we're adding some spice. You're going to go and basically add your index finger to the whole second fret, just the whole thing, all of the notes, and the 3, and you're going to add this variation to the riff. That's basically playing the first half, 3 strings, E, A, and D, and G maybe, and then playing the higher strings. And then starting again with the chorus. Again, with that whole fretted, you know, second fretboard index finger. And then adding those last 2 chords. Those last 2 chords being, you know, barring the second fret with our ring finger on the 4, D string, and G string, middle finger 3. And then with the dead note in between, 3, dead note, 4, 4, 3. Okay, so after that we're going back to the intro where the structure basically repeats itself. Now I'm going to tell you the differences and small little nuances to the second time around that we're repeating the structure. The intro stays the same, there's no change there. Once you start the verse, instead of starting with just the chords, right, no spice. Right, so instead of starting it with just the chords, you're actually starting with the second variation of the riff, which is the one where we do have all that seasoning and spice. Right, so you're going to play that one instead. And that's also going to be played twice. And then we have, of course, the pre-chorus, which ends a little differently. The way the pre-chorus ended in the first time of the structure was with the following chord, 3, 4, 4, 3, with the dead note of the A, playing that staccato 3 times. But this time, before we do that staccato, we need to play along what the keyboard is playing, which is, okay, so that's 2 on the low E, and then 2 on the A, 4 still on the A string, 5, 2 on the D, 4 on the D, and then the chord 3 times staccato. And lastly, we have a little lead, kind of little solo that's played at the end before repeating the intro. And there you can really just improvise whatever you want, I'd say. From what I can hear, he's just playing, it in the live version at least, there's pentatonics being played, right? So, for example, 9/11 starting on the A. And then 12 note, bend it nice and high, pull off 10, back to 12 on the B string. And for example, bending 12 with your index, with your ring finger and index finger, 9 on the E, bending 12. Kind of something like that, I gather, and you can just kind of do your little improv, I'd say. It's always fun, of course, to do that, since it is such a simple a solo for that section. It leaves a lot of space for interpretation and, you know, to throw in some fun in there of your own. For the outro, you're basically, you're going to start the outro with a slide on the low E up to 12. And then you're just going to start scratching away with the rhythm, dead notes. right? Something like that, right? Just listen carefully to the track, and it's not that hard really. The rhythm of the dead notes, you just have to follow it, and at the end, it's instead of kind of playing it after each other, it's something like, you know, da-da-da-da-da, something like that. Just listen to the track, okay? Sorry if it feels like I'm kind of moving along through the outro quickly, but really, if you just listen to it and you know that you just have to do the slide and the scratch, right, you can just catch it pretty quickly. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you want to stick around for more content, be sure to subscribe. And if you have any questions regarding this lesson, please leave them in the comments section below. I will see you all again next time.